If you go to my blog, WQ6X.blogspot.com, let me just type that into the chat window. WQ6X.blogspot.com. Well, it does help if I'm in the right box here. WQ6X.blog. Oh, have the keyboard turned off. WQ6X.blogspot.com. I have been since 2013 writing a blog post on contesting and things that are related to it. And some time ago, I wrote a blog on the premise that radio sport contesting is actually emergency preparedness. So the rag chewers on 80 meters in the morning who hate us, oh, you guys take up the entire band, man. Give me a break. We're doing emergency preparedness exercises. I tried to use that as my premise when I set up a sweepstakes from Carpinteria. A lady gave me the permission to operate from her condo, but the homeowners association, when he saw my vertical go up, he kicked me out. And I said, I'm trying to do emergency preparedness here. You know, you mean you're against being prepared for an emergency? It didn't work. So I had to go put up a tent down on the beach. And you'll actually see that tent in some pictures this morning. But the three things I think that are emergency preparedness exercises for sure are field day, because we're taking our equipment out into the field. We're learning how to run under emergency conditions. Another one is the California QSO party. I'm wearing my California QSO party shirt from 2020. They each year they put out a new t-shirt, and the order of the colors on the t-shirt is the resistor color code. So 2020 was a 0, and 0 is of course the color black in the resistor color code. This coming year, 2021, they will be issuing a brown t-shirt. I actually have a brown t-shirt from 2011. Another emergency preparedness exercise is sweepstakes. I'll talk about that later on this year. But let's start with a screen share. And there we are. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, this is the California QSO party. The California QSO party, last year's running was the 56th running of CQP. In my opinion, CQP is the best QSO party, not just because I'm from California, but because it is the best organized and there are more operators in CQP than any other. I work a lot of the other QSO parties for other states. And in all honesty, when I submit a log, usually in the soapbox, I'm saying, my beef with your QSO party is that not enough of your own people are playing in your own event. One QSO party recently, there were more people in the RIDI contest than there were in their own QSO party. That didn't make sense to me, but oh well. But in CQP, we activate all the counties. Does anybody know how many counties we have in California?
Like 56 or something, right?
Close. We actually have 58 counties. And 58 is an interesting number because we get credit in California. We want to work as many states and provinces in Canada as we can. And as it turns out, there's exactly 58 states and Canadian provinces. So we want to get 58 and they want to get 58 of us. It works out really nice. You'll notice that on the QSO Party page, cqp.org/results, on the right side is a picture of the setup that I ran last year. I've been showcased on their page, I believe, 3 times, once with N6 GEO, went solo from his cabin. He was out of town. And then last year, I registered the call sign Kilowatt 6 Alpha. I was actually hoping that this club could use it and the A would stand for Alameda County, but that never happened. The COVID thing threw everything off. And at the last minute, I got an email from the CQP people saying, could we have that call sign? Because last year there was a special, what do you call it? A special event in CQP called Sequoia. If you could work stations with the letters spelling out Sequoia, you get a special certificate. So I gave K6A to my club, San Diego Contest Club that I operate from in Fallbrook. We became K6A, and I then registered K6C. C stands for Contra Costa County or Concord, and I ran from my Contra Costa Concord location. So I did both. On my t-shirts, I put little ink dots showing where I operated. Down here is Fallbrook. You can kind of see, if you put an electron microscope, you can actually see the antenna tower there. And then up here in the Bay Area is Contra Costa County. So I have ink spots on my t-shirt because I ran from both locations. Let me show you what the map looks like. This is the California County map. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure it was transitioning properly. In years past, with N6 GEO, we have operated out of Modoc County, way at the top northeast end of the state of California. Although we were in the southwest end of Modoc, there is a group from Bend, Oregon that comes in every single year. They drive into the northeast end of Modoc. They have access to a ranger station, an old, no longer used ranger station, and they bring a huge barbecue, and it's an incredible, between them and us, we always put Modoc County on the air. And there's one guy who lives there who puts probably 50 contacts in the log just because he doesn't know, he's bored. He doesn't know what else to do. I want to show you some of the CQP events that I've done, because what makes CQP cool is when you find ways to activate a county. I first got involved with the California QSO Party in the year 2000 with W6KC, Whiskey 6 Kilo Charlie, and he has put together a radio club in Mammoth Lakes on Mammoth Mountain down in the southeast end of California. W6ML, Whiskey 6 Mexico London, or W6 Mammoth Lakes. I don't know how many members the club actually has, but it qualifies as a club. So in the year 2000 through 2003, I joined up with the team, W6KC, W6SW, and W6JTB. My first year, my old call sign used to be Kilowatt X-Ray 6 Hotel. You can see that on the top left picture there. And in the middle, the middle picture was back when I didn't have any gray hair and I actually had a real mustache. Wow, look at that mustache. An interesting story goes along with the 2001 CQP. Jim, W6KC, was getting certified in networking back before we had wireless. We had wired LANs. We did the operations from his condo in Mammoth Lakes, and he spent several days setting up a wired LAN between 2 stations downstairs and 2 stations upstairs. Our goal was to set the all-time high record for the California QSO Party expedition class. And we went for it. From the beginning of that contest, we were out in the lead. I mean, we were just knocking them out. When I shut the last radio down at midnight, Saturday night, we were well in the lead. We started up at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Things were going just fine. And then about 9 or 10 o'clock, the bands went dead. I mean, just dead. And Jim said to me, Ron, you're on a break. I kind of think some of our antennas have fallen down. Would you go outside and do an antenna check? I go outside, I look around, all the wire Yagis are up, the verticals are up, everything's fine. Don't know what to make of it. I come back in, give Jim, W6KC, the message. He says, well, okay. Jim used to like to run contests on Sunday morning. He'd pop a brewski at 11 a.m. Normally he doesn't drink that early, but Sunday mornings and football and contests was what he liked to do. So at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, he popped the brewski, turned on the TV looking to find a football game, and instead, all the networks were preempted with George W. Bush telling us why we were bombing Afghanistan. And the reason why the bands were dead had nothing to do with the radios, but it had to do with the fact that everybody turned off their radios to watch George Bush on TV. So in the end, we took first place for the expedition class, but we didn't get the all-time high score. And now that was 3,800 contacts with the all-time high score. Now it's about 4,800. So we'll never be able to do that. What a bummer. But that's just an interesting little story of how life can interfere with the radio sport attempt. After that, after 2003, the sunspot cycle was declining. Jim said, I'm going to run solo again. I'm tired of putting groups together when a low sunspot cycle. So I decided that I was going to go. There we go. I was going to go and activate a house being built in Ojai. Ojai is in Ventura County. It's a few miles due east of Ventura itself. I set up this equipment in the garage. Turned out I had no electricity there. So if you look real carefully, you can see the jumper cables, and I was running the radio off of my Cougar. And I had to remember every once in a while to start the engine to recharge the battery. And that allowed me to put CQP from Ventura County. I did that 3 years in a row. Then in 2009, I ran into my old friend from school, N6GEO. And he said, we got to do CQP together. He got access to a tent trailer, and we drove up to Modoc County. His wife owns a plot of land up there. The guy from Chips, the Hispanic guy, was a spokesperson for a property company selling land up in Modoc County. Well, she bought
the California Pine.
Yeah, okay, you know it, okay.
Was that Emilio Estrada?
Yeah, exactly. It's Eric Estrada. Yep. And so she bought the land. before we got up there, several years before, a fire had come through. If you look real careful at that QSL card, you can see that the land is pretty devastated behind it. We set up a tent trailer. We didn't even have a mast. Can you believe that? We forgot to bring a mast. So George lashed together some poles. We put up my DXCC multi-band dipole, and he has a buddy pole. So we used that to set up our operation. There's actually street signs. It's a dirt road, but there's actually street signs there. Springman and Bachman, Springtail and Bachman. And that was our first. We took a first place. Then in 2011, George said, let's take my boat on the Sacramento River. So we went out to the Sacramento River. That was a lot of fun, a different way of doing it. You can see that we had a vertical up in the air, and we had some wires up in the air. And we got a first place for Sacramento County. We squeaked by and got that. Then we decided to go back to MODOK a second time. George's wife's brother-in-law said, I have an RV that you can use, and I won't charge you for it. Well, if something seems too good to be true, it is too good to be true. We took that RV, we loaded it up, and within 20 minutes outside of leaving Brentwood, the fuel lines were clogged and we were already starting to break down. It took 2 or 3 hours to get that repaired. Now we're late and it's getting near the end of the day. So we drove north, and when we hit Highway 295 to go east towards MODOK, it was getting very dark. And as we're starting to go around the windy roads, the lights are starting to blink. Our electrical system is failing. So we pulled off and managed to get a place to rest for the night. The next morning, there was nothing wrong with the electrical system, go figure. We got to our campsite. We went to put up our antenna, and unfortunately, the guy wire snapped. And this is what our 3-element TH3 Junior Yagi looked like. The antenna that never quite made it. So we used my HF2V vertical and the buddy pole again. You can see the buddy pole above the RV. And he operated from the RV. I operated from my Coleman Insta-Tent. You can open that Insta-Tent out in 2 minutes. It's a great Insta-Tent. We ran as K6M. And then for 2013, we decided to go back to MODOK one more time and do it right. Didn't bring the RV. No. We brought the tent trailer again. And this time, we had a beautiful setup. We had a, what was that? A 6-meter beam, our TH3 Junior. We had verticals. We did a very good job. We took our first place from MODOK. And that was the last time we went to MODOK. It is a big job getting there, getting back. Oh, by the way, well, the dirt roads are on the GPS. Our first time there, towing the tent trailer, as we tried to go down the road towards where we were headed, what the GPS didn't tell us was that there was a pile of rocks right in the middle of the road and we couldn't get around it. So we had to literally back that tent trailer out and go all the way around to get there. GPSs are not always perfect. Then in 2014, we had plans to do a specific CQP operation, but a death in George's wife's family preempted that. So we just operated from his home, which is in a homeowner's area restriction, no antennas. So we put the antennas up Friday afternoon, and by Sunday afternoon, we say, antennas? What antennas? You can see the military mast, the one we used up at Modoc. It cranks up real fast and it comes down real fast. For 2015, we got to operate from Tuolumne County. George has a cabin up in Twain Harte. He's now built a house behind the cabin. There's Twain Harte. You can see George and his wife here. I'm not sure which is George. I think George is on the right, the bear on the right. We often have visitors. Deer like to come through the property. In this CQP, it was called the Gold Rush event. If you could work stations spelling out Gold Rush, you got a little medallion. I've got the Gold Rush medallion there somewhere. The T-shirt for that year was what color is 5 in the color code? It's what, blue? Something like that. 2016, I operated solo from George's cabin. He was out of the country on a vacation with his wife. So I just set up some dipoles in the air, and there's a picture of the Tuolumne County line in case people didn't believe I was actually in Tuolumne County. Turns out I set a record, a new low power county record for Tuolumne County that year. In 2006 or 17, I operated from Concord as Kilowatt 6 Tango. And I set a record on that one as well for Contra Costa County. This was a very primitive but functional setup. And there's the county line. Concord was originally 121,000. It's probably gotten much more than since then. And then in 2018, I did a dual operation. And you see, I operated from, oh, this was just me alone. Excuse me. This was another one, but I thought there was a picture here somewhere. Okay. Well, this was my first year that I cooperated with NX6T. I ran W6 Charlie from Concord, and I ran remotely to November X-ray 6 Tango. Then, I don't have the right pictures because I've run with the Alameda Club. I believe it was my first time was in 2018. So I ran, I joined you guys in Alameda, and then when you shut down at 5 or 6 o'clock, I hightailed it out to Concord and ran the QSO party from Concord. Gave me a chance to test drive a lot of my new audio filters and test drive new antennas. And turns out for the year 2017, they showcased my single operation on the QSO party website. Who would have guessed that one? And finally, of course, last year, I ran from Concord as Kilowatt 6 Charlie, and I also ran remote NX6T. I said I ran with the Alameda Club. That was field day. I'll get to that later. This is what the station looks like in Fallbrook. I ran the station on the left, station 1, and the two stations are separate, but they are networked together so that we can use Alt-G and N1MM to dab back and forth to the two stations. That works out. And of course, having some epidemic ale definitely helps out. And in case anybody has any doubt, here's proof. Amateur Radio Emergency Communication, CQP, is a emergency preparedness exercise. So if anybody tells you it isn't, well, they're wrong. And you often need additional help, and that's what the epidemic ale is for. Now, my whole point in doing this is the following. I like to set records. I like to be a part of setting records. Last year, I researched Alameda County, and I found out that the multi-op single transmitter low power category has a very low score. If you look right, two up from the bottom, MSLP KI6BEN was the last person to set a record 11 years ago. And I would like to make a proposal for the Amateur Radio Club of Alameda. I would like to register Kilowatt 6 Alpha again and recommend that we put together a team effort in October somewhere in Alameda County, probably just Alameda itself, right? And let's put together several operators and switch between CW certain hours and sideband in other hours. I would like us to go on record as taking the all-time high score multi-single low power operation from Alameda. It should be a no-brainer. 25,000 points is nothing. Now, the high power score, we don't stand a chance. 302,000. I think they made about 1,200 contacts or more doing that. But multi-single low power, I think we could do it. And I would like to spearhead that idea if other people are interested in being a part of it. You don't have to be a great operator for CQP. All you have to do is be willing to get in the chair, and we can work with you. A lot of people get their first exposure to radio contesting either from CQP or field day. At various field days that I've done, we've had guests wander through the campsite. We grab them, sit them in the chair, and say, all you need to do is say 3A SJV, 3A LAX. If you can say that, you can operate for us, and we get to call it multi-operator. One year for the 10-meter contest, I ran it out of Concord. I registered as a multi-operator setup. And while I was technically the only operator until Sunday, my friend Kathy was in town with her boyfriend. They were visiting, and my friend Dennis made dinner for us. And I recorded her voice in the voice keyer of my ICOM 7000. And so for the rest of Saturday and all of Sunday, I was running the 10-meter contest using her voice. And of course, people would say, hey, where's the YL? When I would give a report using my voice. But because she sat in the chair for 5 minutes and made a couple of contacts and then loaded up my voice keyer, that counted as a multi-op operation. And I got a first place for East Bay section. You've heard me say, when in doubt, cheat, but within the rules. And that was cheating within the rules. So I, again, would like to propose that we take on Alameda County. Alameda County is not a needed county as far as the all-time high counties needed. Alameda is down near the bottom. There's always enough people running. from Alameda. But there's not enough evidently in multi-op status. So I think we could actually do very well. Now, that takes us to your favorite and mine, if this thing will go away. Whoops. This thing keeps, there we go. Field day. That's my other, one of my other favorite contests. My three favorite contests are sweepstakes, field day, and California QSO party. And everything after that is important, but not so great. I used to work with W6SW, Whiskey 6 Sierra Whiskey, or W6 Shortwave. We would operate from Mount Abel, which is in west of Frazier Park. If you come down Interstate 5 and you'll go down the hill, it levels out, and then you'll go down the hill further. Well, where it levels out is Frazier Park. And if you go 12 miles inland, you'll come to Mount Pinos or Mount Abel. Abel is at about 8,000 feet. And I'm always the CW operator on 20 meters. This particular year, I had a Yaesu FT920. I loved that radio, but I sold it to buy the FT1000MP. This was my first time running the FT920. You can see the Coleman Insta-Tent that goes up in 2 minutes. You can see the motley crew that we had down here. We're not too far from the ranger station. Technically, Mount Abel is at the bottom end of Kern County in the San Joaquin Valley, SJV section. Another field day, we operated again from Mount Abel. That's a beautiful, you can see the stars up there. Carl Sagan was right. Billions and billions of stars, but you don't see them from around here. You got to get 8,000 feet up to get away from it. We used to run wire beams, 3-element wire beams. You can see this is being hoisted up into the air, or is it being lowered? I can't remember. This was my setup. Unfortunately, what you'll notice is that the radio that I'm running there is a Kenwood TS450. We had to have Jim's son drive it up because I unfortunately hooked up my ICOM 7000 backwards on the power supply and blew the diodes on it. Tom finally and I, we set our ICOMs in together and got them fixed. This, by the way, this particular event, we got a visit from N6VI, the Southwest Division Vice Director. That was really cool. I've got a picture somewhere of me and him. In 2016, N6GEO and I ran from his cabin. He set up on the picnic table outdoors, and I set up from the kitchen table in the inside. And you'll notice contest food, Negro Modelo, beer, and of course bananas. Bananas and beer. It's not just for breakfast anymore. And then here we go. For 2017, I don't know why I have no pictures, but I did a dual op. First off, you guys recognize this building, I hope. This, of course, is the Stardust building. We no longer have access to that. And there was the antenna that was put up outside. We got a visit from the section manager, and I forget the other two guys. And then I went and ran remote from NX6T. This is the control head for the ACOM 2000 amplifier. So I had a lot of fun. I got to play with the ARCA Radio Club for the first time, and then I got to run remote and do another part of it. And then, of course, in 2019, I ran from Tom's boat, and there's what it looked like on the boat itself. There's an ICOM 7000. This is, of course, us putting up the antennas. I was really tugging on that thing. Let me tell you, man, I almost ripped my arms out. And then I made a hamstick dipole on the boat. We put that up together. That was kind of fun. I think I have 2 pictures from this year. That's correct. This was the entrance to the Aeolian Yacht Harbor. And there's some familiar people. This, of course, was the actual CERT mobile. This was being able to operate indoors or on the deck. How nice was that? And then this was another indoor shot. And up there's Zach. Wasn't too sure about people taking his picture, I guess. This operation had a problem because the computer kept dying on me every 2.5 minutes. And that's because I had inadvertently checked a box that says report our scores up to the scoreboard, except that I had no internet connection there. So every time it went to report the score, the computer would lock up, and then it would give me an error. I didn't find out that I had that box checked until a year later. Go figure. And then this was last year. People operated out of their homes, so I don't have pictures on that. But this was our second operation from the sailboat. If you'll notice on the picture on the left, I strapped a HF2 vertical to the mast. I used bungee cords to strap it to the mast, and that turned out to work out really well. And then you can see down below, we ran a antenna tuner to the back stay wire and used that as a sloper. This is the nighttime view. And this is me basically with my feet up, trying to make things all happen. I had to say WQ6X in case people didn't know who that was. So this is field day, and I'm going to talk more about field day because field day teaches us really how to set up under adverse conditions. CQP also does that, but I tell people, even if you can't get out to do a setup, a portable setup somewhere, operate from home. Because in the California QSO party, we want as many people on the air as possible to represent California. Every California QSO party, all 58 counties are on the air. Another way, by the way, to do the QSO party is to put a radio in your car and become a rover. This last California QSO party, there were 2 rover stations that worked out a path up and down the state of California that allowed them to go through as many counties as they could. So if you time it right, you can actually go through a lot of counties over a period of 30 hours. CQP is a 30-hour event. So there's something to be said about having one person drive and then the other person operate. And if they're both licensed, at some point you can switch off and the other person can drive. N6 GEO and I have talked about doing that, but we're just getting too old for this. So what can I say? So those are some thoughts that I wanted to share with you about CQP and Field Day. And I want to open it up for some questions. I'm going to exit sharing mode here for right now. There we go. Do you have any questions about CQP or Field Day that I can answer for now?
Too old, speak for yourself, old timer.
Oh, that's true. Now I see a question here. Now, why would we want to take on ourselves? It seems to me that Alameda County represents all ham radio operators. That's very true. But we're not actually competing. We're not actually taking on ourselves, because in CQP, we're looking to have as many people activate the county as possible. And then we want them to do the best that they can. So the higher score they can make, the more people they can work, the better. And we should be rewarded for a good operation. And that's why I recommend that we try and go for the high score. We're not saying that, I'm not saying that other people shouldn't operate from Alameda County, but I think doing a multi-single is a demonstration of cooperative effort. And that's really what CQP and Field Day are about. Any other questions?
Ron, what's the date of the CQP?
The date of the CQP is always the first weekend in October. Let me
That's the second and third.
Yeah, okay, that would be the second and third. Okay, yes, it is. The second and third. We were on the first and the second this last year. That was kind of cool. So, yep, the second and third. In the past, what I have done is gone up a day early. You're allowed to go up 24 hours early to set up antennas if you're an expedition class. The CQP is a 30-hour event. If you're a multi-operator, the multi-op can run all 30 hours. If you're a single operator, you can only run 24 out of the 30 hours.
Ron,
Yes.
how many contest t-shirts do you have?
Well, I have one from a couple from the early 2000s. I probably got a dozen.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, a couple of them were in a bag that I left in a hotel room once. So I kind of lost those. Bummer. I've actually put out a call. I sent an email to the CQP people saying, I'm interested in buying t-shirts. And so I got an extra one for 2019 and an extra one for, I forget which. And this last year, because I did 2 operations, I got two black t-shirts. So I'm wearing one today and one is probably waiting to be into the laundry. These t-shirts I often wear out in public, and people say, what's this all about? And it gives me an opportunity to proselytize ham radio and why we put all the California counties on the map. Any other questions? Or if not,
Ron,
Yes.
This is Richard. How do you find out what the rules for the contests are?
You go to cqp.org. Let me just see. Let me go to cqp.org and I will go ahead and share that again real brief. There we are. Okay.
You might mention this as a sponsored contest by the Northern California Contest Club.
Very good. That is right. It is sponsored by the Northern California Contest Club. There are the rules for last year. Notice cqp.org/rules.html.
Okay.
CW contacts and CQP are worth 3 points. Phone contacts are worth 2 points. CQP has never allowed digital. I don't know why. I wish they did. Other QSO parties do allow digital contacts. We unfortunately do not. And here are the entry options: single operator assisted, multi-single. By the way, low power in CQP is considered under 200 watts. So that's pretty cool. We could run 199 watts and qualify as a low power event. And then you can submit your log electronically. Notice on the left side all the different things you can click on. You can click on the multipliers, which for example, this is the county abbreviations for the counties. We are ALAM, A-L-A-M. And you can see the multipliers that we go look for the United States and Canada. And that is that on that. You can make up your own certificates from the website. You type in your call sign and it'll bring up a certificate for you.
Oh.
They have a county tracker page to show us in colors what counties are being activated. Green means it's well covered. Alameda was a green. The red ones this year were King County and Madera and Lassen and Del Norte. Inyo, out in the middle of nowhere, is always a tough one to get a hold of. And Trinity and Mariposa were some of the tougher ones this year. When you're ready to activate your county, you can click on the activate button. Oh, I guess that's now over with. Yeah. Can't do that until next contest. But normally you can this brings up a county list and you can type in your call sign and type in what your operation is going to be like and about how many hours you intend to operate. There's a lot of other things on this website, so I encourage you to go to cqp.org and check it out.
Great, that's a lot of information.
Yep. This is probably the most thorough QSO party webpage of them all. So that, again, I'm biased towards California, but most of the others aren't this thorough. Any other questions I can answer?
Well, at the start, you mentioned, so we have 58 counties, and then you said it was Canada has 58 provinces or something?
No, the 50 states plus 8 provinces gives us 58 multipliers for California.
Oh, I see.
It just happens to be the same number of states plus provinces equals the number of counties. So we're looking for 58 multipliers outside of California, and they're looking for 58 counties inside of California.
Oh,
How convenient is that?
So is it when you make contact with someone in, say, Michigan or whatever, you get the multiplier from?
We get the multiplier for Michigan, yes.
Okay.
And in most contests, you can work a station once per band. And if you're running both modes, CW and sideband, you can work them once on each mode on each band. We can work 160 to 10 meters. So it's possible to get 12, you could work a station 12 times theoretically, although that rarely happens.
Ron, what bands do you usually get the most contacts on?
Well, that's an interesting question because in the daytime, of course, 10 meters, 15 and 20 are your daytime bands. We're hoping the sunspot cycle is going to keep climbing. So 10 meters hasn't been too good the last few years, but it's coming back. I understand that 10 meters was open to Asia and Oceania last night as late as 10 o'clock on FT8. And 15 meters was open as well. So we're getting the bands to come back. In the evening time, as we move into the afternoon, the high bands start to drop out and 40 meters starts to come in nationwide. And then, of course, as we move into the evening, it becomes 40 meters, 80 meters, and 160. We are allowed to work DX. So there are some stations in Europe who love to play in the California QSO party. And instead of sending us their state or province, they just send us DX. In the QSO party, you send a number indicating how many contacts you run, and then you send your county. So I would say K6QLF, you're number 262, Alameda. And that would be what I would say. And K6QLF would say you're number 46 in Alameda. And the states will give us a number in their state or the number in their province, or if they're DX, a number and DX. Anything else I can answer? Well, all right. So this is what CQP is about. It's about activating California counties, however you can do it. And I would like to see us put Alameda on the map and set an all-time record. I think that would be really cool to have the Alameda club with its name on that list, maybe forever and ever and ever, until somebody else gets motivated to try and do better than we did.
Do you have a place in mind where you'd like to set up a station?
Actually, I haven't even thought about the location. I'm really wide open to ideas. We could set it up from Tom's boat again if we wanted to. We could set it up from somebody's house. We could set it up from some place where they would allow us to be there for 30 hours. Because remember, it's a 30-hour contest. And to set a record, you really want to be able to go Saturday and Sunday. It starts Saturday morning at 9 o'clock and it ends Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm open to ideas as to where we set up and how we set up.
Someone did a presentation. Oh no, that was an ARCA meeting. I'm sorry. Someone had a great setup on top of a ridge in Oakland.
Oakland would qualify as Alameda County.
Right. Does anybody here attend the ARCA meetings and remember that presentation? Oh, okay, never mind.
The higher in the air you go, and that's why we were running from Mount Abel for so many years, and running from Modoc while we were low to the ground. Modoc is a couple thousand feet elevation, if I remember, so that helps out.
I wonder if we could get access to Grizzly Peak.
Oh, there you go. That might be something worth looking into. We have a lot of time. It's we have 6 months until CQP October, so we could come up with a lot of interesting things. I could bring my Coleman Institute to set up a station if necessary. So between now and October, if you have some ideas, please send an email. Let me put in my email address on this. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to stop sharing here. My email address, ron@wq6x.info. That is how you can email me for amateur radio related stuff. And and I see somebody said saltwater is also a good location. You bet it is.
Well, thank you, Ron.
Well, thank you.
So just make sure you bring it up again later on when we get closer to October.
I will bring it up again at the May meeting, and then as we start to research how we can pull it off, then we'll start an email exchange and probably at a later meeting make another pitch.
Sounds great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ron.
Let me before we
Thank you, Ron.
end, let me just show you something that might interest people. I'm going to try and turn my laptop here and show you. Knock the microphone over doing it. I'm going to show you what a remote station setup looks like. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
This is a K30 Mini.
Is that the L-Craft?
That is the Aircraft K30 Mini. You'll notice that it's a very thin thing. It's the front panel from a K30 with a bunch of cable interfaces wired into it. And it is from this station here that I'm able to run remote in Fallbrook. There's an interface box that's under my desk. You can't see it. The cables go out the back into a hole underneath the desk. But this is, I was currently running on 14.087.87 ready this morning. And in fact, just for the heck of it, there's ready. So the RIDI contest is in full swing this morning. To interact with the remote station, I use a VPN known as BNC Viewer. BNC Viewer allows me to control the computer on the other end of the connection. And that's how remote operation is done.
That is neat. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Does anybody else have any further business for the club before we adjourn?
Good meeting. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us this April. Apologies for getting the invite out a little bit late, which may account for the small turnout today, but hope everyone has a good rest of the day. Please enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. If and when you can, do get vaccinated. Because we really want to have field day together, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So thank you, everyone. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
next month.
Thanks,
And-
Ron, for the good presentation.
Well, thank you very much. And when you get the video posted for this, would you let me know? Because I would like to post it on my Facebook page.
Of course, I will send out a thing later.
Okay,
thanks,
thank
Ron.
you. See you next month.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, guys.